There are no rich anti-Zionist Jews. None. So every time people criticize Jews for doing evil things and overwhelmingly being supportive of Israel and saying Jews control America and whatnot, and how America is occupied by Zionist Jews, the reason why people say this is because there are no anti Zionist Jews in the entire world that are rich. So this is kind of the. I wish more people would talk about this. And as far as I know, no one has ever actually said it in the way that I said it just now. That is, that there are no rich anti Zionist Jews. Now, other people like Norman Finkelstein, as you're going to watch in just a second, have criticized rich Jews and their influence. Even he didn't point out the fact that there are no rich anti Zionist Jews. And now this is important because wealth, money, buys influence and power. Jews can use their money, their vast wealth, to influence politics, foreign policy, which is what we're seeing right now, obviously, with the war in Iran. The reason why America has gone to war with Iran and attacked it unprovoked is because Trump is being blackmailed by Jews. And also, all of our politicians, with a few exceptions like Thomas Massie, are being bribed by Jews. And all of these rich Jews are Zionists, every single one of them. In a sense, it makes sense, right? Because if there were anti Zionist Jews that were rich, they would use their money and influence to fund politicians that share that view. There would be anti-Zionist politicians. Rich anti-Zionist Jews do not exist. So let's watch this video by Norman Finkelstein.
Now, by the 1960s and early 70s, there were no taboos. No, there were no taboos. And you had your tables, you can organize for socialist revolution, communist revolution, smashing the bourgeois state, anything and everything. And now we're seeing a very dramatic and serious regression, basically because of the billionaire Jewish supremacist supporters of Israel. Because Jews are rich, they're the wealthiest, what's called religious ethnic group in the United States. They are the richest. And they tend to support liberal causes. And so they give lots of money to universities, lots of money to the arts world. Jews take it as a source of pride to give to institutions which advance culture and the elevation of the mind. Unfortunately, it has an underside or a downside. It means incredible cultural power. And now they are, or the Jewish supremacist billionaire class, they're exerting that power. It's not just at the Ivy Leagues. You take City University of New York, they're terrified. Because a lot of the graduates of even the City University of New York, who are Jewish, they made it. They became very wealthy. And now the screws are being turned. The screws are being turned. Either clamp down on these anti-Israel, anti-Semitic demonstrations, or you're not getting our money. And so the repression has been actually, it's been beyond belief. You can't say anything now critical of Israel.
Yeah, that's very true. So he's referencing a number of different incidents. One of those incidents was when there were a bunch of Jewish Wall Street people who doxed Harvard law students or just Harvard students that were criticizing Israel and saying Israel was to blame for the Al Aqsa flood, what everyone calls October 7th. And that is true. Israel itself is to blame because of all the ethnic cleansing, the stealing of land, and the rape and the murder of the Palestinian people. It was Jews who were doing that. And Jews in Wall Street were angry at these Harvard students for stating objective facts, and so they doxed them and called them anti Semitic and ruined their lives. And they would also they would try to get these students expelled by threatening to pull their money from these schools, whether it's Harvard or other universities. So, whenever liberals tone police people in the pro Palestinian movement for criticizing Jews and saying, oh, not all Jews are Zionists, there's some anti Zionist Jews. Well, first of all, the number of anti Zionist Jews is extremely small, extremely small. And I got news for you, Bernie Sanders is not an anti Zionist. He's a Zionist. He's just a Zionist that thinks genocide is wrong. You got to understand that Zionism is a spectrum. And he's just somewhere, he's not even on the left of that spectrum. He's somewhere center left, slightly. Michael Brooks, believe it or not, he used to be on the Majority Report and he passed away. But he was actually a Zionist. He believed that there was a cultural justification for Israel. He just believed that apartheid was wrong and ethnic cleansing was wrong. But he was a Zionist. So the people that liberals think are anti-Zionists are actually not. Most of them are not anti-Zionists. They're not true anti-Zionists. They still believe that Israel has a right to exist. And guess what? It doesn't. You don't. Jews do not get to steal land that doesn't belong to them. They're not allowed to do that. And like every single rich Jew is a Zionist, as Norman Finkelstein. He alluded to it. He didn't explicitly state it. He was actually just actually generalizing Jews there by saying Jews are very rich. We're going to find out later that not all Jews are very rich. Norman Finkelstein himself is not very rich at all. He's not rich. He has no money. But Norman Finkelstein is one of the very, very rare anti-Zionist Jews that is in existence that actually speaks out, and he's poor. Now, I know what you're thinking. I know what you're thinking. You're probably thinking about, well, what about George Soros? Isn't he a Jew boy? And yeah, he's a Jew boy, an old Jew boy. But no, he is not anti-Zionist. And I'm not going to go into all the details, but we can just go down to all of his views on Israel. And I even asked Grok about this. And, like there's some quotes here and there from various different times. Like here, he says, I don't deny Jews the right to a national existence, but I don't want to be part of it. I think he's kind of virtue signaling to his liberal supporters there, because later on, when you scroll down here, Soros's son Alexander said in an interview that his father cares about Israel and that he would like to see Israel in Yitzhak Rabin's image. His views are more or less common in the Meretz and in the Labor Party. According to Alexander, Soros supports a two-state solution. The younger Soros recounts that after his bar mitzvah in 1998, his father told him, if you're serious about being Jewish, you might want to consider immigrating to Israel. So that's what George Soros said to his son Alexander. So George Soros is not an anti-Zionist. He is just a somewhat center or center-left Zionist. If and it if you think about it, it makes sense because if George Soros were really an anti-Zionist, he would be funding politicians. He would be what they call campaign contributions, campaign donations. What they really are, those are euphemisms for legalized bribes. He would be giving legalized bribes to anti-Zionist politicians, and he would be influencing their thoughts and their positions, their political positions, and that's what we see. Oh man, I forgot to queue up that video of Zoran Mamdani. We thought Zoran Mamdani was anti-Zionist. Well, whether he was or wasn't, Jews got to him. He recently spoke out against Iran. He condemned Iran, calling it an oppressive regime, blah, blah, blah. And we were so disgusted by that when we saw it. We couldn't believe it. Why? Because rich Jews have been contributing to his political career through these campaign contributions or whatever they are, the donations, they're legalized bribes to influence his way of thinking. And that's why politicians are all corrupt, because money changes their viewpoint. It changes their position, their stated positions, and it affects their policy. So even if you were supposedly anti-Zionist before, like Ilhan Omar. They become Zionists anyway once they enter politics, whether it's Congress or whatnot. I mean, the same thing happened with AOC. She voted consistently with funding Israel. So did Ilhan Omar, if I'm not mistaken. Someone can fact check me on that, but I'm pretty sure that that is in fact the case. Um, Rashida Tlaib, no, because she's Palestinian, obviously. And Thomas Massie, he's been very based, and as far as I know, again, people can fact check me on this. He has not been funding Israel and voting against all of that stuff. But yeah, like if George Soros were truly anti-Zionist, he that would have been reflected in the political positions of the politicians that he's funding, but it is not. That is a direct reflection. Politicians' positions are a direct reflection on the people who are bribing them, and that is wrong, and that needs to change, but it's not going to change anytime soon. But let's just, for fun, uh, watch Norman Finkelstein talk about how he has no friends and he has no money and he has no women because he is an anti-Zionist, and this is the tragic fate of anti-Zionist Jews.
How is your social life? Do you have a good social life?
I don't
you
have
don't,
a social life.
Which is due to
The fact that I'm too old to be clubbing. I'm a loner.
you are.
Except that I do believe in political solidarity to try to make the world a better place.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any regrets as to leaving, not having children? Do you have children or a wife? Not much. Have you thought about that?
It's too late in the day.
Is it? Okay. What about adoption?
You realize if I were to adopt by the time the
Yeah.
child is... No, I don't have even an income, Suleiman.
Yeah.
I've been unemployed for 12 years. I can't talk about these things. And right now I have a court case looming and possible jail sentence.
Oh, really? What is the probability of you getting sentenced?
Oh, my lawyer says 50-50.
Really? What would be the maximum penalty?
1 year.
That's it. I mean, that's not. Subjectively, that's it. Okay, so
For a 65-year-old Jewish dude from Brooklyn, it's a lot.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
The only thing I have, the only silver lining in the cloud is it's unlikely I'll be a target for rape.
That's true. That's a good thing.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
Man, I'd cry if I weren't so anti-Semitic. All right, guys, that's it for today. So remember, Jews, dislike this video and post in the comment section how anti-Semitic I am and how Israel is the most moral army in the entire universe. See you guys later.